A very good afternoon and welcome back to the Thailand Halal Assembly 2025. I am Sania Kakao and very pleased to be your Master of Ceremonies today. And now we are back together in one main hall as we move into the next key session of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to a session, Sharia and Science for Green Halal Integrity. This session explores how Islamic jurisprudence and science work hand in hand to ensure transparency, credibility, and trust in green halal practices. And now, it is my honor to invite our speakers. First, may I invite our distinguished speaker, His Excellency Mr. İhsan ÖVÜT, Secretary General of the Standards and Metrology Institute for the Islamic countries, to the stage. A big round of applause, please. And next, may I invite the following speaker. Please welcome Engineer Moteb Al-Mezani, Director General DCC Accreditation Center, DAC Saudi Arabia. And next, may I invite Professor Dr. Irwandi Jaswir, Dean for Academic Research and Publication at INHART, the International Islamic University, Malaysia. And next, may I invite our speaker, Assistant Professor Dr. Zahra Al-Kharousi, Lecturer of Food, Microbiology and Biotechnology, College of Agricultural and Marine Sciences, Sultan, Qaboos University, Oman. And our chairperson for this session is a scholar with extensive expertise in biochemistry, molecular biology, and biotechnology, with strong academic and research experience at leading institutions in Thailand. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to invite Dr. Simap Kanwa, lecturer at the Institute of Nutrition, Mahidol University, and adjunct faculty at Mahidol University International College, to share this session. Please proceed.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to all of the audiences. Swadika. And a very good afternoon to everybody. I would like to welcome all of you again to the last session of our second day of Halal Science Conference. And congratulations to you make it to the last session, to the last day, but not the least. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. I hope all of you are safe and enjoying this fantastic program which the organizers have put together greatly. I welcome all of you again and all of those colleagues that we are able to meet and see every year on this great occasion. And it's great effort of the organizers of this conference to put this event flawlessly and excellently every year to the theme of the halal science. And for this year, very much relevant to the green halal and sustainability that is indeed the requirement and need of this time, as well as for the research that is ongoing nowadays in life sciences, in social sciences, and also in the AI and machine learning era. So this year's theme, the Green Halal Beyond Sustainability, is definitely particularly important as it highlights the evolving requirement and responsibility of halal science. And for today, it's a pleasure for me to chair the current session that is entitling the Sharia and Science for Green Halal Integrity, that explores the essential integration of Islamic jurisprudence with scientific innovation to ensure that halal practices uphold environmental responsibility as well. And there is a requirement for ethical production and societal well-being in this area. By aligning Sharia with principles with the evidence-based science, This section will highlight a holistic approach to halal integrity that goes beyond compliance, fostering sustainable and responsible systems for the future. So without further delay, I would like to invite our honorable and respectable speakers one by one. We really have a great panel over here from around the world, from different great organizations that shall be sharing their views and their insight on this topic. So, ladies and gentlemen, our first honorable speaker is His Excellency Mr. İhsan ÖVÜT. He is Secretary General of the Standards and Metrology Institute for the Islamic Countries, SMIIC. His approach to SMIIC relies on the institutionalization of professional administration of SMIIC on both technical, administrative, and he's working intensively to accomplish this goal. So please put your hands together and welcome Mr. İhsan ÖVÜT. We will be hearing today his insight on the topic of green halal. Please welcome.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable participants, dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon. Juma Mubarak. It's a great honor to be part of the Green Halal discussion in this panel. I believe that we will have a very enriching session. So today I will try to answer a couple of questions regarding Green Halal with my presentations. The idea of Green Halal basically shows how will Islamic values and sustainable living go together. In Islam, taking care of the environment is seen as an important responsibility that humans are trusted with, and green halal with integrity naturally includes environmental responsibility. The green halal concept and the halal and tayyiban concept are very similar, especially in how they both aim to benefit people and environment. The halal and tayyiban ideas cover everything that is high quality, clean, and safe to consume. It also focuses on ethics throughout the whole value chain, from raw materials and ingredients and all the way through processing, packaging, transportation, distribution, and finally the end product that reaches customers. In general, halal products management puts a lot of focus on clean lines, quality, and safety. Because of this, halal product development is often linked to green management, which lines up well with the priorities highlighted in Sustainable Development Goals. Green halal reflects the global trends that call for a cleaner, more transparent, and more sustainable supply chains. As the halal industry becomes more competitive around the world, being environmentally responsible helps build consumer trust and opens up more opportunities for international trade. We see that consumers now expect products to come from eco-friendly supply chains, so the governments are introducing stricter rules to manage environmental impacts. Furthermore, investors are placing more importance on ESGs, environmental, social, and government factors. Islamic teaching highlight the importance of looking after the earth and using natural resources in a balanced way. Ideas like avoiding waste, israf, keeping balance, mizan, and acting as caretakers of the environment's khalifa fit naturally with today's sustainability goals. These values encourage both products and consumers to make responsible choices that protect human health and environment. There are numerous ayats from the Holy Quran as well as hadiths highlighting environment and stewardship. So, what does this mean for Muslims today? Being a Muslim doesn't just mean worship or rituals. It includes ethical responsibility toward earth and future generation. Sustainable living, which promotes avoiding waste, conserving the water, protecting animals, planting trees, and meaningful consumption is also from the worship of and obeisances. Islamic principles and modern science work side by side in today's halal system. Religious guidance sets the basic standards for what is allowed, pure and ethically produced. Science then helps check things like safety, hygiene, quality, traceability, and environmental impacts. When both aspects come together, halal products not only respect Islamic values, but also meet globally expectations for health, consumer protection, and sustainability. For example, SMIIC itself stands as evidence of this dual relationship, where Islamic requirements are harmonized with modern scientific and technical standards. When we discuss the halal concept, we are not only addressing core Islamic principles, but also scientific and procedural requirements that must be respected at every stage. This dual nature makes it essential to fully understand the underlying structure and framework of guidance or approach. And in SMIIC, we have trying to combine scholarly insight, strong governance, and unwavering ethical principles. We are very well aware that halal is not merely at a label. It's a sacred responsibility that touches the lives of millions of people who trust in integrity. Safeguarding this trust demands that every stage of the halal ecosystem is carried out with the complete transparency, accountability, and genuine respect for all stakeholders. Advancing green halal requires expanding halal standards beyond basic permissibility toward ethical, sustainable, and environmentally responsible production. This aligns with the Tayyiban concept, which is naturally complement modern green principles from a holistic halal tayyib green model. Through SMIIC technical committees, this vision can be operationalized, supported by SMIIC's harmonization mandate. OIC member states can adapt consistent OIC standards, SMIIC standards, and contribute the development of green halal guidelines within SMIIC that will reinforce sustainable development. SMIIC used this integrated approach through its standardization work. Each technical committee includes technical experts, industry partners, and Islamic academy specialists, so that both the practical and religious aspects are covered. With this dual validation, SMIIC's halal standards gain broader credibility both within this Muslim majority countries and in global markets, which is essential for consumer trust, international trade, and harmonized regulations. You are here, see, these are our technical committee list. As you've seen, they are cover different topics, and then not only focus on halal. The topics range from halal food, energy efficiency, transportation, halal supply chain, and so on. To date, we have published nearly 80 standards. 20 of them are on halal topics. And these two slides, this one and next one, we can see the technical committee published which halal standards. We can say that all of these standards naturally supported by green halal concept. If you are looked at some of the specific committees, and their work, for example, halal packaging, general requirements under the TC1 is set the rules for safe and suitable food contact packing, including the use of recycled materials and migration limits. It defines how to avoid materials that contaminated halal products or harm the environment, and naturally encourage safe sourcing of raw materials, clean manufacturing, which together promote environmental cleanliness. The other important standard is on halal food prepared by bioprocessing techniques, general requirements. The bioprocessing often use microorganisms, enzymes, and fermentation instead of heavy chemicals, which leads to lower energy consumption, less hazardous waste, and cleaner processing environments. Bioprocessing techniques is in standards aimed to ensure halal integrity and in ingredients and processes. We have a dedicated technical committee for energy efficiency and renewable energy. It has published more than 20 standards that play a critical role in guiding industry toward reduced emissions, responsible energy use, and environmentally aligned operations. Furthermore, within TC6, all standards related to agriculture have the priority on to reflect the Islamic rules, which are also reinforce environmental sustainability, and project on Islamic farming concept also has a clear direction. It integrates faith-based values, sustainability, animal welfare, and ethical food production. Islamic teachings promote the protection of environment by recommendation, no excess use of water, land, and energy, avoiding soil degradation, and pollution, and maintaining biodiversity and ecosystem. They all align with the regenerative agriculture. TC10, on the other hand, focus on halal supply chain standards. The standards support key green elements by reducing waste through better storage, rotation and transport planning, improving energy efficiency with optimized routes, refrigerating and lighting, encouraging reusability and recycling of pallets, packaging and containers, promoting cleaner operations through pest control, hygiene, and reduced chemicals, protecting resources by minimizing spoilage and water and energy embedded in food, and building consumer confidence with the ethical, clean, safe, and sustainable halal practices. The halal management system provides a framework for managing halal and quality through leadership, risk management, risk assessment, operational controls, documentation, training, and continual improvement. Management systems strengthen halal integrity, product safety, and environmental responsibility. They reduce waste and improve resource of efficiency, and support green halal by promoting clean, controlled, and sustainable operation. Lastly, the green halal concept is widely accepted because it's seen as a complete and well-rounded approach. It looks at everything that matters in food production, including protecting human health, food safety, animal welfare, and the environment, social justice, overall well-being. When applying the ideas of Tayyiban and green in the food industry, all these elements are taken into account. There are already a strong push to make sustainable practice better across the whole chain, from producing and manufacturing to distributing halal products, and interest in this area keeps growing. It's important to make sure this green halal idea is actually put into practice, because green consumers really care about products that are good for the environment. When we look at what people want, it is clear they are more aware that the products they buy affect their health and quality of life. Many consumers are also feel that halal products are healthier and better for environment. They value the extra checks come with the halal certification and compliance. Islam teaches us to protect and take care of the universe as trust from Allah Ta'ala. This includes looking after the environment, managing natural resources wisely, and using energy in a sustainable way. So we should be aware of our responsibility of care of environment, work and hand in hand together to be successful. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Mr. İhsan ÖVÜT, for the insightful presentation. That is particularly appreciated with the point of view of sustainability development goals concerning the green halal. Ladies and gentlemen, and also to the respectable speakers, we will have a question and answer and discussion session by the end of this section. So right now, I would like to announce our next honorable and respectable speaker of this session, His Excellency Engineer Moteb Al-Mezani. He is Director General of GCC Accreditation Center in Saudi Arabia. We are delighted to have him here as a prominent figure in the field of accreditation and halal certification, in fact. He is known for his work in developing and expanding international cooperation and standards. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Moteb to the podium.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jum'ah Mubarakah for all of you, brothers and sisters. First of all, I'd like to thank you. Big thanks for the organizer to invite me to focus on some point regarding to the halal. Of course, my presentation is not green, it's red, but I mean that. I know you are speaking about the green halal, but I will speak about the red halal. I'll speak about when we stop the fake certificate, when we stop the fake logos, when we consider the cheating of the certification, when we consider the cheating of us as a Muslims by the fake logos, by the fake certificate, by the fake halal while it's not halal. This is our aim, and I will consider the halal product as a product, and we will deal with this product according to the international practice, how they are controlling the product to fulfill the requirement which is related to this product. Of course, the halal product is very important for us as a Muslims. I know the speakers before me spoke about the importance of the halal, how they are controlling the halal, what is the Sharia requirement, what is the scientific, how is the scientific issues to control the halal and to know the halal and to know the other product non-halal. Inshallah, my presentation will focus on the accreditation. The accreditation, one of the key elements that controlling the product certification and the certification in general. What's the meaning? I started by the meaning to not confusing the meaning of the halal, the meaning of the accreditation. The meaning of the accreditation, it's different than certification or notification or registration. No, it's the practice for the third party certified, what we call the conformity assessment bodies, to be sure they are qualified, they are doing their work in good manner and good way. I mean by conformity assessment bodies, one of them is the certification body or laboratory or inspection body. But we will focus more and more about the halal certification body, which is some of you representative the halal certification bodies. So this is the meaning of the accreditation. But we are seeking about quality. When we are thinking about quality, we have to be sure what is the meaning about the quality, and it's very important for us as a Muslims, as I said, to be sure the quality of the halal product is fulfill our requirement. The meaning of the quality is satisfying and fulfilling the needs of the consumers, and for us as a Muslims, our needs for the halal product shall be achieved for this product. For that, I will focus on what is the element of the quality. What is the infrastructure of the quality? If we are thinking about the quality, we have to be sure about the infrastructure of the quality which shall be fulfilled and shall be available. This is what we called it, the infrastructure of the quality. We have to be sure about there is standards or regulations in the beginning. And I'm sure there is nowadays, we have SMIIC standards, we have GSO standards, we have some countries' standard related to the halal. So this is the beginning. The basic of any works shall be start by the standards and the regulations. Sometimes the government provides some regulations which help us in the quality infrastructure. The other element, what we call the conformity assessment, or like inspection, certification bodies, or test labs or so. This is who will be sure about the implementation of those standards. And to be sure about the capability of those CABs or conformity assessment bodies, we have to define and find the accreditation activities. The other one, which is very important for us in general for the quality, is the metrology. The metrology is very important. The scales, the correct of the scales, the correct of the measurements, the correct of the metrology elements in general, which is mentioned even in the Holy Quran. It's mentioned وَزِنُوا بِالْقِسْطَاسِ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. That means you have to measure in the correct scales. Those elements, what we called it, and also of course the market surveillance come with them. Those the basic issues that we shall have to achieve the quality. As I said, we are looking to be sure we are achieving the quality of the halal product. This is the element or the quality infrastructure. And this is what we called it, the pyramids of the quality. The pyramids of the quality is a little bit different. There is a levels of the conformity assessment bodies. So who is implementing the standards? As I said, one of the key factors or very important element is the standard. So who will implement the standard? The slaughterhouses or the factories who will implement the standards. Of course, the standards will issued by standards body or show. So who will implement the standard? The factories or the manufacturers or the slaughterhouses, they will implement the standards. But who will be sure those factory will implement the standard in good manner and good way? The certification body or the laboratories or the inspection body, what we called it, the conformity assessment bodies. This is the second level. The third level is the accreditation bodies. The accreditation body, be sure about the CABs or conformity assessment bodies, they are working in good way, which is all of them, they have to work according to specific standards. Nowadays, we have the ISO standards, the GSO standards, the national standards, or SMIIC standards. This is, so each conformity assessment body, even the laboratories or inspection bodies or certification body, they have their own standard. Who will be sure about the good implementation? The accreditation body. Even the accreditation body, they have their own standards. ISO IEC 17011. So for us as an accreditation body, we are following international standards. For why we are following international standards? To be sure even our work is working very well. So there is another umbrella, which is international, the umbrella. We have the ILAC, IF, nowadays it became one organization. But for Islamic and for halal certification, we have the IFHAB, International Forum for Halal Accreditation Bodies. this IFHAB controlling the accreditation body and be sure they are working according to the SMIIC standards. This is what we called it the pyramid of the quality. Why the halal accreditation? Of course, nowadays there is a lot of challenge, lack of the consumer awareness, Muslims or non-Muslims, accept of the halal logo, accept of the halal certification. Nowadays we have more than 100 logos, and as you know, there is each certification body, each organization, or sometimes, unfortunately, even non-Muslim, they are putting the halal logo on the halal product. And we found a lot, even non-Muslims, again, they are showing halal certificate. Even non-qualified, they are showing halal certificate. Even a lot of people, they are not aware about the requirements of the halal, they are issuing the halal certificate, which is not acceptable for us. So where do we bring the confidence? It's from the accreditation. The accreditation of the certification is controlling, as I said, it's controlling the halal certification body. And this is the good way, this is the good, and this is our aim in our region and around the world, to control the certification bodies. As I said, there is a lot of people, they are not aware about the requirement. Of course, nowadays we have standards, we have halal accreditation body who are dealing with halal activities. We have a lot of certification body controlled and accredited according to our requirements. A lot of accreditation body working on that matter. IAC from Emirates, JAC for the Gulf region. We have HAC in Turkey. We have a lot of accreditation body. They are working in these activities. Please stop the watch. Nowadays, as I said, there is a lot of halal standards, SMIIC standards. We have the GSO standard, which is common. We have the GSO 20551 for general requirements of the halal. GSO 255-2, it's for the certification body. 3 for the accreditation bodies. Nowadays, we have also GSO 4, which is for the cosmetics, and so on. Of course, the GSO 993 for slaughtering and how we can conduct the slaughtering according to the Sharia. From where we bring the Sharia issues basis, actually we are based on the fatwa from the International Islamic Fiqh Academy. This is where we can consider and rely on them on the Sharia issues. Of course, we depend on the international standards for the other issues according to the ISO standards, International Standardization Organization, especially in ISO IC 17065 for product certification, which is implemented around the world, even Muslim countries or non-Muslim countries. This is a quick brief about the standards, as I said. This is the introduction to the products. Actually, the accreditation not enough for you to register in the country or so. So sometimes there is another requirement for registration in some countries, especially like in Saudi Arabia, in Emirates, and Kuwait. There is another step after the accreditation to make what they call this sometimes registration or notification. You have to fulfill the requirements also. We have, this is the criteria, as I said. So what is the impact of the accreditation of the halal certification? Of course, ensuring that important products which is the halal product, comply with the regulations and consumer requirements. Confidence in the halal mark, gratitude, safe and halal products, a wider selection of products in terms of both quality and quantity, and of course new market access opportunities, fair competition among halal certification bodies, utilizing available human resource and enhancing their technical skills and auditors. This is in brief what is the impact of the accreditation, what really we face it and we found it in real. Okay, this is what I have for a quick presentation. Thank you very much, and I'll be ready for any question. Thank you for all of you. Bye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moteb, for a very insightful talk that really resonates with the goal of our event. I would like to move to our next honorable speaker, Professor Dr. Irwandi Jaswir. He is Dean for Academic Research and Publication at INHART, the International Islamic University in Malaysia. So please welcome him to the podium to share his insightful words with us.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Today I would like to present my presentation entitled Islamic Food Laws, Philosophical Basis and a Practical Implication. I try to relate to green halal as per our topic this year. My name is Irwandi Jaswir. Currently I'm attached to International Islamic University, Malaysia. As an introduction, as we know that Islam is a comprehensive religion guiding the life of its followers through a set of rules governing the personal, social, and public aspects. This is something that we need to go to the basics again. And for us, as a Muslim, perhaps this is not new, but for our fellow friends who are non-Muslim, the need to learn about halal. For our client, perhaps they need to get information on this. Since the food is an important part of our daily life, food laws carry a special significance, and in Islam, we learn through Quran and Sunnah. The global halal industry nowadays is estimated to be 3.1 trillion, and it is expected to increase to up to 10 million 2030. And this is the basic principles I got and extracted it from the book by Almarhum Sheikh Yusuf Al-Qaradawi. There are 10 principles that I think we need to refresh our knowledge again. The first one, the basic principle, is that all things created by God are permitted, meaning that there is no room for us actually to get non-halal things, because Allah create a lot of things, except, meaning exception is only very few. And to make lawful is the right of God alone, not by the certification body, but not by the government, etc. But in the principle, it must come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then prohibiting what is permitted and permitting what is prohibited is similar to shirk, or ascribing partners to God. And basically the reason, we don't need to know what the reason behind that. Sometimes we got the hikmah, but sometimes in most cases we do not know what the reason. But in Islam, the principle is sami'na wa ta'na. If Allah say no, it is no. What is permitted is sufficient then. And what is prohibited is then superfluous. So again, with a lot of reason nowadays, especially now with the issue of food security, people may say, oh, no, not enough protein, so please consume this, please consume that. But basically, what is permitted by Allah SWT is sufficient for us. And whatever it is conducive to prohibited is instead prohibited. And good intention do not make unlawful acceptable. Doubtful things need to be avoided, etc., etc. This is what we have understood. Unlawful things are universally acceptable. If it is non-halal in Africa, it's non-halal in Thailand, non-halal in Malaysia. So this is universally applicable, except for a few things that are different according to the mazhab. And of course, in Islam, there is exception. The range of prohibited in Islam is very narrow, but emphasis observing the prohibition is very strong. And try to relate halal and green. There are 5 or 6 things that we need to bear in mind. Number 1, halal is more than permissible. So in Islam, halal doesn't merely mean lawful in substance, but also lawful in process and impact. This is in Quran, yeah, Al-Baqarah 160. Ya ayuhan nas, kulu mimma fil ardi halalan tayyiban, yeah, and do not follow the footsteps of the shaitan. Humans as Khalifah on the earth, prohibition of environmental destruction. So whatever food that we produce, it must not disrupt the environment. Animal welfare. And in many practice in Islam, in many Muslim countries, we do not care about animal welfare. As long as the slaughtering process, the slaughtering way is correct, and then we proceed with that. It's wrong. Islam is very, very particular about animal welfare. Moderation and avoidance of waste is what Dr. Ihsan already mentioned. Cleanliness is one of the essential things in halal or green halal. And halal type and sustainable economy must be avoid haram or darar. Must be avoid exploitation of the workers, for example. Avoid unethical profit. You got so much profit while others do not get anything. So must be prohibited. And I think we know this, yeah, what's halal and haram. I think I need to skip this, but I would like to move to this. Yeah. The basis for prohibition, yeah, basically, as I mentioned earlier, in Islam, we do not need to know the reason why it is not acceptable in Islam. Yeah. But we may get the reason through the advancement of science and technology, but this is not the basis for us. Yeah. Blood, for example, that is drained from the body contain harmful bacteria and products of metabolism and toxin. This is just what we call is hikmah, the reason behind, but this is not come first. Yeah? The come first is the instruction by the God. Swine serve as a vector of pathogenic worm to enter the human body. For example, the infection of Trichinella spiralis and Taenia solium are not uncommon. This happened in the practical question. Intoxicants are considered harmful. For example, alcohol, alcoholic drinks, etc. That's why it may cause a human judgment error, yeah, and leading to social and family problems, in many cases even death. And then to translate the laws into practice, what it is in laws and what is in practice sometimes different. Yeah, carrion and dead animal, we know that it is haram, but even in the US, it is permitted under USDA that the use of meat from dead animal is not that uncommon. Proper slaughtering, this is only in Islam. Swine pox, I think we know this is very, very widely available worldwide. Yeah, gelatin, for example, 65% derived from pig skin and bone. Yeah, pig skin and bone. Yeah. Blood, we know that it is haram, but it is also part of the ingredients in the formation of synthetic meat. Halal and haram in modern food. Food materials, animal meat, fats and oils of animals, blood and animal bones. Yeah. Food additive, a lot of shubha, controversial here. A stabilizer, gelatin, additional protein from animals are doubtful. I would say doubtful. We need to be careful when consuming products that contain those ingredients. Emulsifier, for example, because most of emulsifier are derived from of fats and oils, and cheap fats and oil are derived from pig. Yeah, so margarine, spread ice cream, frozen dessert, and pudding. Mono and diglyceride. Mono and diglyceride is a emulsifier. It is derived from molecule of fats. If one molecule of fats miss one fatty acid or two fatty acid, it becomes a stabilizer. So since it is derived from fats, so we had to be careful on that. Lecithin, yeah, found in fat portion, and alhamdulillah in certain countries it derived from soybean and palm oil. Yeah, shortenings, gelatin, as I mentioned before. Enzyme, also this one of the critical ingredients, because enzyme widely used in the food and dairy products, not only for the food, but also for in the production of pharmaceuticals and cosmetics. Humectants also, for example, glycerin from animal fats. And also we have to be careful with biotechnology engineered food. In most fatwa in many countries say that a biotechnology product is acceptable as long as the medium used and genetic materials are from halal sources. So we have to be careful with that. Enzyme, for example, many enzymes nowadays are biotechnology-driven enzyme, but we have to be careful when the enzyme is produced, whether the medium that are used are of halal sources. Alcohol, as we know, that it is one of the controversial item in halal and haram. We have to distinguish between khamar and industrial ethanols. Yeah, for daily use, for industrial ethanol is acceptable. Yeah, a certain fatwa. Yes, at least in Indonesia and Malaysia. But khamar is totally haram, unacceptable, regardless the percentage of the ethanol. Okay, most of the fruit, the juice and ketchup contain alcohols. Yeah, we have to bear in mind. Fresh orange juice has 0.15% of alcohol. However, they are not considered intoxicants. Yeah, I think also, yeah, in I think Malay culture, we also got the product what we call tapai or glutinous rice fermented in the production. So it's also contain alcohols. Okay. Other issues in the halal industry. Number one is cleanliness and cross-contamination. Many times when we do audit, the product is halal but not cleaned. Yeah, so it's not in line with what we call is a green halal. Yeah, Islamic food laws are based on cleanliness, sanitation, and purity. That's why in many standards, cleanliness is taken care of. Yeah, some of the certification body require that the industry to be GMP, good manufacturing practices, HACCP certified, etc. Cross-contamination is another issue for Muslim. Once we audited one gelatin factory in the Europe, 1 month they produce halal gelatin, another month produce non-halal gelatin using the same instrumentation and production line. Additionally, the production line needs to be properly cleaned since many plants produce both halal and non-halal food items in the same equipment. Packaging is another issue. Yeah, the canning process, for example, there is one layer that they need to apply with fats and oil. Since the fats and oil is critical, we need to really be sure that the fats and oil is derived from halal one. Metal cans is what I mentioned. Steel drum could be used to carry food containing pork or pork fats, which despite rigorous cleaning practices, could remain a small amount to contaminate halal product, otherwise through pure. And then labeling also, there's some regulation said that, yeah, for example, adding certain percentage of fats to replace cocoa butter, for example, in the Europe, is allowable, yeah, without having to reveal the percentage in the packaging or labeling. Such regulation need to be, we have to be careful with that. Hidden ingredients, this is what I mentioned. Flavoring, you may have several ingredients which are not halal. This morning session also revealed on this. If alcohol is part of the food composition formulation, then alcohol must be listed. Laboratory analysis is very, very important for authentication and traceability. Yeah, there's two things now that are also critical in that halal value supply chain. And what about future foods? I got one student, 1 minute, 1 second. One student now doing this in Singapore, my student doing on the cultured meat. What the duration on that? And with the issue of again, food security, as if the proposal or the suggestion given by them is anything you can eat. So this is, for example, I got this from Google. Yeah, I think with that I end my presentation. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Irwandi. Please have a seat. And it was really interesting to learn about minute and the negligible details in halal practices and packaging, especially, that are often ignored. And even it was like very brilliant for me to get a lot of information from your presentation. We will definitely have further discussion by the end of this section. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our last speaker of the last session, the only female speaker of this panel, Assistant Professor Dr. Zahra Al-Kharousi. She is lecturer in food and microbiology and biotechnology, all the way from Sultan Qaboos University, Oman. Her research is primarily focusing on antimicrobial activities, antimicrobial resistance, and pathogenesis, especially the foodborne pathogenesis. So let's hear from her today to share her expertise on the topic of fermentation, especially with relevant to halal innovation. So please welcome her, give her a big round of applause, and please make sure you stay up until the end of our presentation. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be very interesting.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you. I'm really thrilled to be with you in this conference. And I'm going to give you a presentation about innovating halal fermentation, sustainable starter culture development for date vinegar production. So I hope that this will be like an integration between scientific research and Sharia. As you mentioned many times, that sometimes we have hidden ingredients that can tell us if this is really a halal product or not. And we want to see this. I'm going to go through the presentation and we will see this. So let's first identify what is fermentation. In science, fermentation is a biotechnological process that utilizes specific types of microorganisms to transfer raw materials, in many cases are foods, into products with desirable features, such as desirable properties of texture, flavor, and also a nutritional health-promoting qualities. So the process of fermentation can be both aerobic and anaerobic and can involve large number of microorganisms, basically including yeast, bacteria, and mold. Now, there are different kinds of fermentation, and the main types include acetic fermentation for production of acetic acid, lactic acid fermentation for production of lactic acid, Then we have alcoholic fermentation, and you know this produces at the end alcohol. But sometimes this is not the end. Sometimes we have also another step that utilizes the ethanol or the alcohol to another product. And then we have alkaline fermentation and fungal fermentation. So the process of fermentation is not something new, it is something old that, that has been discovered like thousands of years, and because of its benefits, then it has been utilized a lot. So there are now technological advances in the fermentation process. I'm just giving some examples, including omics technologies, like using high throughput methods like metagenomics, metabolomics, and these basically to, at the end, to understand what are the communities of the microorganisms that are involved in the fermentation process for the production of, and the optimization of the process itself and the optimization of the products. Starter cultures, these are the microorganisms that we utilize to produce the fermentation or the fermented product, and we select them. So they make sure that the products are consistent, and also they always produce the desired products that we want. Now we have something new about fermentation, which is the precision fermentation, as opposed to traditional fermentation. So the precision fermentation, from its name, there is precise use of the microorganisms, and basically it uses engineered microorganisms to produce specific products. In this time, it is not only the product is food, as opposed to the traditional fermentation, in which we have thousands of products in the market that are produced by fermentation, like dairy products, cheeses, yogurt, and so on. Then in the precision fermentation, it targets mostly the production of specific compounds like proteins, enzymes, and vitamins. And there is more process control. There should be more customization of the precision fermentation, but the consumer perception for precision fermentation is not like the traditional one, because this is considered basically there are involvement of genetically modified organisms. So always consumers are aware about if the product is completely natural or not. The regulatory issues for precision fermentation are also more complex because it involves the GMOs, or the genetically modified organisms. Now, there are also many challenges and risks regarding the fermentation process. So we have, for example, the production of biogenic amines and the ethyl carbamate. I'm going to mention also some other compounds from our research. There is also chance for the pathogens to exist and to flourish in the final product. So the pathogens, that's a food safety issue in this case. Now I'm going to focus on vinegar production, particularly in date vinegar. So vinegar is a worldwide product that's made in different countries from their local materials. And there is a range of materials that can be utilized, ranging from byproducts, surpluses, and so on, to the high quality raw materials that can be utilized. And there are lots of uses of vinegar, example, preservative of fish, meat, vegetables. It can be utilized as flavoring agent as well, and there are many medical applications for it, such as antimicrobial activity and cleaning. Now, the process of vinegar production involves basically two steps. In the first step, there are the yeast that utilize the sugars that are found in the material to produce ethanol. But after that, there is the next step in which acetic acid bacteria utilize the ethanol to produce acetic acid. So the final product is acetic acid. Now I'm going to focus on the last product here, on your right. So it is the date vinegar. There are also factors that influence the quality of vinegar, such as the diversity of the starter culture. And now we want to utilize and investigate the type of starter culture that we can utilize. Quality of the raw material, production method, aging, all of these can affect the product at the end. So here I'm talking about date fruit, and you know that the dates is common in our countries. And it contains carbohydrates, proteins, minerals, vitamins, antioxidants. And then we have the date vinegar. So the date vinegar in this case should contain acetic acid, and the acetic acid should be more than 4%. Then the ethanol should be less than 0.5%. And then it contains also minerals, polyphenol compounds, gluconic acid. I'm just also listing gluconic acid because we isolated many bacteria that can produce this type of acid. It is really good for vinegar because it gives it more physical stability. It also gives it some mild sweetness, so it is preferred by consumers. Now I'm going to talk about our research. In our country, the knowledge about the production of date vinegar has passed from generation to generation, but there is no monitoring for the product of date vinegar. And the process usually takes from 40 to 50 days. Maybe there is mold growth, and you know that the mold can produce mycotoxin, and we are not sure about the concentrations of ethanol and acetic acid in the final product as well. So our objective was to study the hygienic quality of date vinegar and isolate different microbes that are there. And in another project, we did formulation of starter culture to check the quality of the final product. So we collected some homemade samples, and also we produced lab-made samples in the lab, and we checked their quality for the presence and safety for the presence of different kinds of microorganisms. We also identified the bacteria, yeast, utilizing the genetic methods. And we checked also the concentrations of sugars, glucose, fructose, ethanol, methanol, and the acetic acid. I just want to mention also that it might contain methanol, and methanol is toxic. So in our second project, we formulated a starter culture from the bacteria that we isolated from date vinegar. And it contained like 6 bacteria with yeast. The yeast also we identified, and we took from the date vinegar itself. It was Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So here are the results from the first project. What I can conclude from them that spontaneous fermentation, like in the traditional way, does not guarantee that your product will be at the end true date vinegar with the correct concentration of acetic acid and ethanol. It also contains bacteria such as coliform, enterobacteriaceae that lessen the quality of the date vinegar at the end. We isolated 5 species of Gluconobacter. We isolated also 6 genera of yeast, as well as Acetobacter bacteria. So here, just from this figure, you can see that with time in spontaneous fermentation, there is an increase of acetic acid, decrease of pH, and so on. But yes, as I said, that the concentration was low is not enough to even to say that this product is date vinegar at the end. And it contains coliform bacteria. The acetic acid was less than it should be, and many of them contained concentration of ethanol reaching to 7%. That is not allowed, of course, because the concentration shouldn't be more than 0.5%, or even it is more than 1%. So that's why continuous monitoring is really important in this case. And here you can see the presence of acetic acid bacteria with their mother culture and production of cellulose in the product. And here our isolation of Acetobacter species from date vinegar. Here also you can see the product by the starter culture. So we were able to produce date vinegar with the correct amount of acetic acid, ethanol, and also the concentration of methanol was low by reducing the time from like 40-50 days to 4 days only. And here also again, we have the results of our starter culture, in which you can see the sample 1 and 3 have got Acetobacter. Sample 3 has Acetobacter, Gluconobacter yeast, and sample 1 has Acetobacter and yeast. And then we have the sample number 2 that has only Gluconobacter. So we found that in sample 2 that contains only Gluconobacter with the yeast was not efficient for a production of acetic acid, that's the date vinegar. But sample 1 and 3, we concluded that the presence of Acetobacter is really important for a production of the date vinegar. So this leads me to the conclusion about this research. So the traditional process of utilizing the spontaneous fermentation does not guarantee at the end that you have a product of a true date vinegar with the correct amount of ethanol, acetic acid, and maybe it contains also the toxic compound methanol. It also may contain the toxin produced by the mold. Therefore, the monitoring of this process is really important. And this makes us, it means that doing the scientific research, even for traditional food, is really important. It is really, sometimes the ingredients, the non-halal ingredients are really hidden in the food product itself. So we utilize starter culture. We can also, in the future, we can develop this starter culture to be utilized by local people. We would like also to develop an equipment that help local people to test the presence of or the concentration of the acetic acid, ethanol, and even methanol, because this is important. We cannot stop people from doing their fermentation at home, but at least we can help them in this way. So that's all about my presentation. Thank you all.